God does so shine.
Peace and blessings, family, and welcome to Labors of Love Podcast, the Fatherhood Series. We are here to inspire, uplift, and enlighten. Each episode, we will be hearing from fathers sharing their perspectives and experiences on all aspects of the fatherhood journey. This evening, I have the privilege of speaking with Jason Goubourn, former educator in the city of New Haven and the lead pastor at Church on the Rock in New Haven, Connecticut. He is the founder of Church on the Rock Global, in which he currently oversees ministries in various countries such as Port-au-Prince, Haiti, Lima, Peru, and Costa Rica. Jason Goubourn is the proud husband of Asia Goubourn and the father of 4 beautiful children, Leah, Kaylah, Joshua, and Jaylen. Thank you for joining us this evening. Welcome. All right, peace and blessings, family. Thank you all for joining us this week. I am so excited to have this conversation with Pastor Jason. So thank you for joining us this evening.
Of course, no problem. It's a pleasure to be here.
Excellent, excellent. So we're just going to jump right into the conversation. So prior to your first child, what was some of your messaging or exposure to pregnancy, labor, delivery?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think that, first of all, I want to say this. Shout out to you and Labors of Love podcast for having this fatherhood series. I think that is beautiful. I think it is a super necessary perspective to have when we're talking about the childbirthing experience and the communities that are involved in that. And so it's real easy to talk to just mothers, but shout out to you guys for including the father perspective as it pertains to not just child rearing, but birthing. And so it's just super cool. So to answer your question, my first experience and the conversations that I was having was, I think my first experience was my eldest sister who got pregnant. She's 10 years older than me. So she got pregnant around 21, 22 years old. I was about 10 or 11 years old. And all of my siblings and I were super close. I still are to this day. And so to see one of us go through this process, it was like, I was just super inquisitive. I was able to just kind of sit back and see my sister transform and go through this process month to month, and then as we got closer, week to week, and it was just, amazing. I think, what led to some healthy conversations for me was the fact that I was just super inquisitive. Like, okay, what's going on now? And how do you feel now? And, what's your response to this? And how are you sleeping? I remember as her stomach was growing, how do you sleep? You're not able to sleep on your stomach anymore. And so all of these questions, and she was just so great. Shout out to my sister, Susie. She was just so great in explaining to her little brother, this is what's happening inside of me. This is what I feel. I feel flutters. I feel kicks, and just really including me on this miracle leading up to childbirth. It really led to some super healthy, rich conversations. I think in a healthy way, before that, the conversations were, pregnancy is for marriage, which I completely agree with 100%. But that was pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? It was like, this is for the sanctity of marriage, so you shouldn't get pregnant before then. But it wasn't so much, this is what happens in a woman's body. This is what she's experiencing. This is how you can play a role in it. Not until my sister got pregnant, then I started to realize, this is kind of like an everybody thing. And I think that was healthy for my family, is that we all kind of were in it together. She's the eldest of us. And so this was my parents' first grandchild, our first nephew. And so we kind of all walked through this together. So there was a lot of healthy conversations that came from that. What does support look like, right? What does help look like? What conversations make her feel more at peace? All those different things were kind of ingrained in me from then.
That is beautiful. That is so rich because, the common theme, and this is multi-generational, it is
Mhm,
that, the messaging around, waiting till marriage to have
mhm,
children, but
mhm,
there was
mhm.
really no education about the physiological aspect of it or what it is and what the expectations are. And
Yeah,
I find that that conversation isn't had with women who physically go through the change, and it's absolutely not had enough with men who, support their wives or their partners
mhm.
in this process. So I think it's
Mhm.
beautiful that at 11 or so you were exposed to like to see that process like firsthand. So
Right.
how did that impact you as you got married and began to have a family? How did that impact like your first childbirth experience?
Yeah. So, thank you for that question. Super involved. I mean, you know my wife well. She'll tell you, I wanted to be involved in every way that I could be. Realizing that this was, the two of us are one. And so this experience was my experience. It was her experience as much as it was my experience, and vice versa. And so I wanted to, like I said, when I was 10, 11 years old, I was inquisitive. I just think pregnancy is the most beautiful thing on this earth. To see a woman have a seed and then put eyes and ears and legs and a mind and a soul to it is just absolutely just awe-inspiring what God can do. And so I was inquisitive now that it was my turn. Inquisitive with the doctors, inquisitive with my wife. What can I do? What does support look like? I remember thinking some of the same questions I would ask my sister, to my wife. What does support look like? Because it looks different for everybody. In some cases, you just want to be left alone for a while. In some cases, it's a foot rub. In some cases, it's reading a book on pregnancy together, whatever the case. And so I didn't want to be shooting in the dark, but just really, really, you know, carrying on that inquisitiveness to know what does support look like for me, both for my wife and for the doctors, right? I wanted to know, what it looks like, what's supposed to happen in this term, what should I be doing concerning this, that, and the other. And so I think a lot of what I experienced at 10 and 11 years old carried over to my wife. And I said, I want to be in the room. I want all of that.
That is excellent, excellent. So it sounds like since you were inquisitive, you were able to ask a lot of questions and get a lot of information back from. It sounded like you all read books and just
Yeah.
interactions with the physicians. Were there any like childbirth classes or anything like that that you all partook in that in preparation?
No, actually, there weren't. It was mainly just books and talking to each other. There really weren't any childbirth classes, which would have been. I mean, I would have certainly welcomed that, but there were not any child classes that we took,
Gotcha.
birthing classes.
So yes, as far as the options and things of that nature, were those things expressed? Because I know, like for myself, I didn't realize that there were options prior to having our first child. Um, the idea was just, you find out you're pregnant, you go to the doctors, you go to your visits and you have a baby in the hospital. Were you all
Mhm.
aware of any other options, or was that pretty much the consensus?
Yeah, I have to say my wife was more aware of the options. She was really researching, birthing from home. We have a close mutual friend who had her child at home with a midwife, and so there are different things that she was looking at in terms of that. But she was a whole lot more informed about it than I was. I think um, she was focused on the research, but then included me more when she had made up her mind, like, this is what I want to do, this is how I want to do it. And so then we kind of took it off from there. So we did end up doing it through a hospital. However, we did not go to a large hospital. I won't say any names because whatever. But we did end up going to Mid State Hospital. And the reason why we did do that is because it's a much smaller hospital, and we enjoyed having the same doctor throughout our entire pregnancy. And so
Okay.
there was right. Yeah. And so there was that relationship that was built, and that same doctor helped birth all four of our children. And
Yeah.
so she already knew what questions I was going to have. She already knew our personality. There was a relationship that was built there. And that was super important for me, as we went through the birthing process, that there was that relationship and attentiveness to care that we really valued.
Excellent, excellent. I love that. So, just as far as the actual birth experiences, or even the pregnancies, you have four experiences with you and your wife outside of family and that exposure. What were the differences and similarities as far as the pregnancy and then the labor and delivery?
And for each child, or for each individual, or for overall?
Well, just in comparison, are there things
Yeah,
that stand out that were, significantly different? Some things that were consistent?
yeah,
That sort
yeah, yeah. I think in terms of in terms of her four pregnancies, I noticed that there were the first two, she had the stereotypical. I thought they were not really real. I thought it was really just drummed up. But cravings are really a real thing.
yes.
And she had, I won't put her on blast, but she had some pretty strange cravings. The first two children, I would say, and we laugh about it, but my first two are girls, Leah and Kaylah, and then my second two were my boys, Joshua and Jaylen. And the boys' pregnancy was really smooth. That although for our last child, she had a couple of really strange side effects, like extra saliva in her mouth and things like that. And so I
Mhm.
remember like trying to figure out how to, because she didn't feel. I would say for the last one, from my perspective, I don't think that she felt as beautiful as she did for the other three. And I think it was mainly because of the buildup of saliva that she always, I mean, like an excess of
Wow.
saliva in her mouth.
Okay.
So she was constantly, kind of spitting, and she just didn't. And I recognized that and had to make sure that, as much as I know that she knows that she's a queen and that she's beautiful, I had to step in and make sure that she recognized that every single moment and what was taking place in her body was absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. And so, just a quick tip for the men out there: she might not say it, and because she's super strong and she is a queen, but you make sure that you do your part to make sure she knows and she feels like she is beautiful, because it can be a challenge. Her body is changing, she's changing, and so it's super important for her to have that support system. In terms of the birthing, all of our birthing experiences were pretty straightforward, especially by our third child. I mean, the doctors and everybody, they laughed because we were like pros at this thing. But I'm telling you, I felt like I could do it myself. Like having the doctors and nurses there, it was just protocol. But it was pretty straightforward. And my wife is just such a champion that and by the grace of God, our children just came out beautiful and perfect.
Yes. Oh, that is beautiful. That is beautiful. And I appreciate just that tip and insight
Mhm. Yeah.
from the other perspective, because you're absolutely right. It's
Mhm.
the vital role you all play in the support piece, and
Mhm.
how we feel about ourselves impacts how, the baby is feeling. So just wanting to keep that energy up and keep that going and
Right.
absolutely feeling amazing and feeling beautiful in this process adds value to the
Yeah.
whole experience.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
I definitely appreciate that. So as far as you were in the room for all of the children, were you able to like catch the babies as far as like when they came out, or held them, or the first time you saw them? What was that experience like?
Yeah. So I was, in the room the entire time, and I had the option to be on the side where the baby was coming out and to kind of see all of that, but not be hands, pulling the baby out. But I could be on that side and support, or I could be on the side where my wife was speaking to her and encouraging her, where I could be more hands-on. And so I chose the, speaking with my wife and being more hands-on part, where I'm holding her hands. I, at one point, holding her, supporting her ankle and supporting her legs, and holding her hand and encouraging her through it. And then when the baby was about right when the shoulders cleared, me and our doctor had a thing, and she would let me know, and then I would, because I wanted to be that face. I just wanted to be that face. Yeah. And so she knew once the baby would crown and once the shoulders got through, okay, Dad, come on over. I will come over and see them pull out. I did get to cut the umbilical cord, look into those precious, beautiful eyes, have that moment without, 80 doctors in the room. This is what we loved about Midstate. They respected those moments of intimacy and those precious moments. And so I took full advantage of that. And it was great. It was great.
Excellent. Excellent. I love that. And just the perspective and kind of giving the idea for those who haven't had that experience or even know what options you have. I know things have somewhat changed in the hospital setting because now we're in a pandemic, but to be in a room and to find, ways in which to be a part of the process. So I appreciate that insight.
And I push another shout out to the fathers that may watch. I pushed to be able to do as much as I could. So I wasn't just gonna let them tell me just anything or not tell me. I was like, no, to what length can I do A, B, and C? And they let me know you can do everything, but maybe pull the baby out. You can do everything, but the episiotomy. I don't know, but I pushed as far as I could, right, to find out, at what limit, where are the boundaries, in other words. And they were, you'd be surprised. There was a lot that they were willing to let me do. And so I would, just a quick advice for father or soon to be fathers is ask, and push, and be an advocate for your wife and for yourself to say, hey, why am I able to do this? If not, why not? And so on and so forth. And you'd be surprised some of the responses that you get.
Yes. And I truly appreciate, your inquisitiveness because yes, you can ask questions, right? Like it's okay to ask questions. And in a lot of instances, you need to ask questions.
That's right. And if your doctor makes you feel like it makes you feel stupid for asking or makes you feel uncomfortable, find another doctor. They are serving you. You are not serving them. Find another doctor. As simple as that.
Absolutely. Like that is so you have dropped so many gems throughout this conversation. So from a perspective of those soon to be fathers or even, fathers who might be going through the process again, what were some of the things that you had on board or wish you had known or just some wisdom along the way of this process? You have 4 beautiful children, some of them are in their double digits now. So just from beginning to now, what are some of the things that, you find valuable or maybe you wish you would have had on board at the first child that now you do at the 4th? Anything come to mind?
In terms of child rearing?
All of the above.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a beautiful, wonderful question. What things did I wish I had or that I knew then that I know now? I gotta tell you, my sister, I was really blessed in all 4. I look back and I see what my support system was and is. And I would say the number one thing that I'm happy to say that I had was that village, was that support system, because there were so many different perspectives that came in terms of wisdom and help that just made the process for me so valuable. Everything from, my father instilling in me the confidence, to be able to raise young kings because I myself am a king. And him having, so he had 2 daughters and 2 sons himself. And so he knows what it is to raise queens. He knows what it is to raise kings. And so just getting that fatherly advice along the way. And it wasn't just, hey, I did everything right. It was, these are the things that I screwed up. And I know that I messed it up. And so here's what not to do. as well as what to do. And then in addition to, my mother, of course, being who she is and the support, I think the wonderful thing that I had in my mom was a just gentle guidance, not stepping on toes and say, you need to do it this way, or you need to do it that way, but gentle guidance, right? And then the most beautiful thing of all, of my entire family, was watching them as we raised our family, from at one point giving advice to then seeing, hey, what he's doing is working, right? So I'm taking what everybody's saying, and then I'm also using my own godly wisdom, and I'm also using my own experience and what I believe works. And then seeing our village say, okay, I see what he's doing there. I see what they're doing there, which is a wonderful thing. And so I've had it. I mean, I had it. It sounds cheesy, but I had it all. We had the support from our village, right? We had, just God and his favor over our lives. We had, my wife and I had this oneness and an agreement in how we would rear our children, which was a discussion, another quick, point of encouragement. Speak with your queen about what her tactics and strategies for child rearing, what they are, because y'all might disagree, and you need to get on the same page before we bring this child into this world. There needs to be oneness and there needs to be agreement. And so that oneness and that agreement that my wife and I had, and still have, it just, it works. Our children see that mommy and daddy are on the same team, and we are team them.
Yeah.
And so, I really had it all. Maybe you ask me that question again when I'm 60, I'll give you a different answer.
No, but again, it's valuable. Just the importance of a village. I think that's something that, we hear the proverb, like it takes a village, but to truly understand what that means and how to develop that, I know, it's fortunate when you have like a community like Church on the Rock, when you have that fellowship and you have those people to call on. But just the importance of, regardless of what your circumstances are, if you're new to a place, if you don't have family around, just the importance of developing those relationships with like-minded people.
That's right. Yes, it's valuable.
So it's just phenomenal, because I do kind of personally know you, so to know your story. And then I realized, like, you have 2 girls first, and your parents had the 2 girls first, and then the 2 sons. So just those parallels and being able to pull upon everyone's wisdom coming in. And I value that relationship and that multi-generational interaction that you have on both sides of.
That's right. That's right. And I say this too, that just in looking at, in terms of the child rearing perspective, one of the things that I had to learn quickly that I underestimated when I was a father of 1 and then a father of 2, is in an amazing way, which we know now, is that each one of these children, they have their own personalities, their own preferences. They are little individuals from birth. And so, as we walk in, my wife and I walk in the oneness of agreement in terms of child rearing, as we're taking in all the decades and decades and years of wisdom from the village around us, taking all that into account, recognizing that each one of these children who has come into this world is an individual with their own preferences. So it is not one size fits all. There are some things that are across the board. This is how you handle the situation, right? But even in those things that you're pretty strict with in terms of this is how we handle it, you even have to find intricacies in how you deal with those things because each child is different. I think about, just from as a famous example, Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson goes on saying that his father was abusive. Right. But you ask Tito and all of them, and they say, we were just getting whoopings like everybody else.
Okay.
But the challenge is, Joe's probably dealing with all the children the same way. But you got to notice, Mike is crying a little bit too long after that last whooping. You know what I'm saying? And so you've got to, they're all my sons, but everybody's different. And so we're noticing that in our children as well. It's like, they have different preferences, they have different, and to encourage that and support that, right? And then guide them according to the person that they are.
Yes, 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 yes. No, that is so valuable. And you are absolutely right. One might be more sensitive than the
That's
other.
right. That's right.
Someone might be more outgoing, the other one more introverted. So
That's right.
you are totally like absolutely when you have multiple children, that is
Yeah.
something you have to take into consideration. So
Yeah.
thank you for all of these just valuable insight and information.
Sure.
I definitely want to take a moment to let the viewers know some of the things that you all have going on because you all have a dynamic, community. And I appreciate what you all are doing over at Church on the Rock. So if you can take a few moments just to kind of share some of the programming, some of the things that, you all have coming up.
Sure, absolutely. So, as you know, I'm the lead pastor of Church on the Rock in New Haven, 95 Hamilton Street. And I mean, in terms of a program, there's so much that we have going on. We have just recently opened, almost a year ago now, our food and clothing pantry, which is open throughout the week and on weekends. Powerful men's ministry. We have a great a men's fellowship and night of prayer that is coming up the end of this month. I believe it's March 30 or March 31st. Don't quote me on that. And then we have a huge prophetic, a teaching on the prophetic that is taking place the end of April into the first of May. But the really big thing that I want to shout out real quick is our ministry that we have in Haiti, in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. We have a feeding program. We are feeding 3,000 kids a week in the nation of Haiti. We have a K through 12 Christian school, Morning Star Christian Academy, that takes place there in Port-au-Prince. We have a Bible college. We are graduating 80 graduates each semester. And then, of course, we have Church on the Rock Haiti, which has a congregation of over 4,000 people each service. We have a 7 a.m. and then a 10 a.m. And so the world talks, when something happens in Haiti, there's an earthquake in Haiti, everybody pays attention. But, it's a quick, 1 week or 2 week thing, and then everybody moves on. And so for everybody watching, please keep our brothers and sisters in Haiti in your thoughts and in your prayers. And if you want to support what we're doing in Haiti and the things that I just shared, you can go to Fishers of Men, FOM.org. You can give, you can learn about more, you can get involved. We would love you to do that.
Oh my gosh. No, that is powerful and it's significant. I will definitely make sure that I have links in the
Yep.
description of this video so people can just click on that information, not have to try to spell it out and get right to you all. I mean, it's so valuable and on so many levels, just everything that you all are doing and just who you are as human beings. Just you and Asia and just the family. It's beautiful to see and to watch these children, these babies are no longer babies.
I have a teenager, Hafiz. I have a teenager. She's 13. Oh my God. Anyway.
Yes, and just all the transition and transformation. So it's beautiful. I'm grateful that you accepted my invitation. This has been such a valuable conversation. We can't have this enough. And I just really want to continue this dialogue and uplift fathers and really shine a light on just the positive and just the visual image of Black men who are fathering and just doing amazing jobs at it. From whatever.
Can I say this?
Yes.
Can I say this? Do not believe the narrative of fatherlessness, of Black fatherlessness. There is a narrative that is out there that there is still a fatherlessness pandemic. At one point there was, during the crack epidemic, a lot of our brothers were either hooked on crack or in jail. But the sons of those who didn't have fathers are having children, and they are fathering their children. Don't believe the narrative. We out here.
Yes, and then on that note, that's a great way to end the show. So thank you all for joining us. Please share. There's such valuable information just in conversation and other people's experiences and wisdom. So you don't know what you don't know. Let's pass this along and keep the dialogue going. Please click on the links in the comments in the description so that we all can stay connected. It's all about building community. So I appreciate you, family. Peace and blessings.
God bless.